Hello, good evening and welcome to NTA Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Naja'atu Tijani. Thank you for joining us this rainy Friday. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally signed into law 10.81 trillion naira revised 2020 appropriations bill recently passed by the National Assembly. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the new budget estimates now has 2.48 trillion for capital expenditure, 4.94 trillion naira recurrent and 2.6 trillion for debt service. At the brief ceremony attended by presiding officers of the National Assembly, the President directed that efforts be made towards ensuring effective implementation. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the immediate suspension of Ibrahim Magu as acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in order to allow for unhindered inquiry by the Presidential Investigation Panel under the tribunals of the Inquiry Act and other relevant laws. A statement by Special Assistant to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice on Media and Public Relations, Dr. Jibril Gwandu Umar, says President Buhari also approved the EFCC Director of Operations, Muhammad Umar, should take charge and oversee the activities of the Commission pending the conclusion of the ongoing investigation and further directives in that regard. Now, the judiciary in Nigeria has been told to be sensitive to the damage being caused to the society by corruption while also being guided by the provisions of the law. This call came from participants at a virtual conference held to mark the 4th African Day of Anti-Corruption. Femi Okeo reports. Now, that report will come in our subsequent bulletin. We'll head to security matters now. The Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, has met with the House of Representatives Committee on Defense on the need for more legislation in the fight against insurgency and armed banditry. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports. And now we'll take that report much later. The Economic, Social, Cultural Council of the African Union has appealed for an end to the spate of insecurity in some parts of the country, as there cannot be any meaningful development without peace. This was at a press conference on improving security of lives and property in Nigeria. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
The issue of insecurity is a challenge being faced the world over. In Nigeria, the activities of insurgents, bandits and other criminals can also be felt in most parts of the country, leaving many dead and families separated. In line with the African Union 2063 agenda of having a peaceful and secured Africa, the Commission, in collaboration with a non-governmental organization, El Sadiq Foundation, organized a meeting with the aim of putting an end to insecurity, particularly in the northeast and west zones of the country.
We will pay attention to feedback mechanism electronically and the system review. The arrangement is intended to foster check and balance, ensure leakages of information on the plan operation are properly traced.
The African Union tagged year 2020 as Year of Silencing the Guns, creating conducive conditions for Africa's development. 7 years down the lane, the sound of guns are still loud in countries of member states.
The way that Boko Haram, there was a time that even within the FCT that one can move freely, but it's not the same as we speak right now. And there was also a time that even the Kaduna Road, you can't even move, but it's not the same story. By the end of this year, and I assure you, we will make a tremendous impact and achievement.
Mobilizing to see security as everyone's business is one of the strategies mapped out by organizers. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Meanwhile, troops of Operation Thunderstrike, a subsidiary operation under Operation Accord, have rescued 3 kidnapped victims in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. A statement by the coordinator Directorate of Defense Media Operations Major General John Enenche indicates that the rescue operation is sequel to credible intelligence on the kidnap of the victims from their farm at Gwazumu Village, Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. Major General Enenche notes that following confrontation from the troops with superior firepower, the bandits abandoned the victims and escaped in disarray with bullet injuries. We'll now join NTA's defense correspondent Ismail Musa via phone call. He's in Gusau currently and will give us more updates. Thank you for joining us via phone call, Ismail.
Thank you, Najatu, for joining me. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you highlight major operations of the armed forces, the recent ones?
Okay, let me try to highlight this major operation as they have been conducted in different zones that make up the country. Now, based on information made available from the defense headquarters, the armed forces, for example, now have the Operation Lafia Dole in the northeast.
Yes.
The northeast, where you have terrorism as the major threat ravaging the socioeconomic activities there. Now, between 2nd July and 9th July, the troops of Operation Lafia Dole had 17 encounters with criminals. You and I know the dominant threat there is terrorism. Now, this encounter include clearance operation. This clearance operation could mean deliberate patrol. They also had conducted deliberate ambush on criminal routes and response to intelligence report. During these 17 encounters, a total of 19 Boko Haram members were eliminated. They made their waterloo due to the superior firepower of the armed forces. This is based on information made available from the defense headquarters. Now, within the period under review, 4 terrorists dropped their arms, while 35 abducted people were rescued, in addition to several arms of different calibers that were recovered.
Now, since security...
North Central, where you have...
Now, I have to cut you there because these operations are in the northeast, the northwest, the north central, and the south-south, where we have Operation Delta Force, that is the Marine troops are taking care of that. But I want to talk about what the armed forces of Nigeria expects from the public, since security is a collective responsibility.
I'm trying to give you a highlight of what the armed forces are doing, then I'll now talk of what they expect from the public for them to sustain their aggressive operations against criminality in Nigeria. Now, in the north central, where you have banditry, kidnapping, cattle rustling, dislocating socioeconomic activities, the armed forces have operations like Thunder Strike, Operation Accord, and Hadarendaji, and of recent Operation Sahel Sanity. Now, during these operations, within the period under review, which covers between 2nd July and 9th July precisely, a total of 104 bandits made their waterloo, while several people kidnapped were also rescued. Now, coming to your question, what they expect from the public for them to sustain their aggressive operations, intelligence report is key to these ongoing operations. Now, in the North Central, for example, observation or some information made available to me indicates that, you see, these criminals stay within these areas where these operations are being conducted. Now, if you want these armed forces to succeed and provide rapid response to threat, the public there must provide intelligence report to troops in that area. So what they expect is cooperation. And luckily, with series of ongoing civil-military relations being conducted by all the 3 services, that is being attained gradually.
So cooperation and intelligence reports are key to overcoming
to the success of this ongoing operation and the quest to rid different parts of the nation of criminality.
So I want to thank you very much for joining us via phone call and giving us these updates. We'll go over now to Lagos to join Jennifer, who is standing by. Hello, Jennifer.
Now, motorists in Lagos are appealing to concerned federal and state authorities to fix bad portions of roads and clear drainage channels to prevent pockets of gridlock ahead of the Third Mainland Bridge closure. Dr. Ogunyemi reports on the state of some of the designated alternative routes.
This is what motorists who ply the Ikorodu Road go through on a typical workday. A situation that is further aggravated at peak periods.
Is going to bring some discomfort.
The news of the scheduled closure of the Third Mainland Bridge from the 24th July 2020 till the 24th of January 2021 was received with trepidation by motorists who openly wonder how they would successfully navigate their destinations without the physical and mental distress traffic jams trigger.
I don't know what miracle they are going to use to get this done. If you close down Terminal Bridge, all the people they go so all this place they go to pass here and everywhere go block.
The average driver sounds like innocent, decrying the deplorable condition of the Costain through to Alaka and Eric Moore roads, which are designated alternatives to the Third Mainland Bridge.
The repair they propose to do at the Terminal Bridge is good, but not until they fix these alternative routes.
The Federal Ministry of Works, however, states that they are in motion to counter the anticipated hitches.
Majority of the alternative roads have our contractors and they are working because we know it's going to bring a lot of pressure on our people and we don't want that. So that's why all the contractors, they are directed to go and continue with their work.
Meanwhile, government has appealed for public cooperation in managing traffic with a call on commercial bus drivers who brazenly violate the highway code despite the obvious warning signs. In Lagos, Dotun Okunyemi, NTA News.
From road transportation, we go to Judicial Matters. Now, alleged killers of the Anambra-born businessman, Ignatius Odunukwe, who was kidnapped on the 1st of December 2019, then lured into a hotel room where he was tricked into signing off his property to the alleged murderers, have been charged to court. The suspects are now facing a 3-count charge at the Igboshere Magistrate Court in Lagos. Abolore Ogbara reports.
The 3 suspects pleaded not guilty before Chief Magistrate Komolafe after the charge was read to them. Officer in charge, Legal Zone 2, Paul Omo Idenyemin, told the court that the leader of the gang, Daniel Bob Ibeji, allegedly converted the victim's 900 million naira property in Abuja to his own. He also narrated that late Odunukwe was hit with an axe on the head by the suspects. He said the action was a deliberate offense.
The court have just made the order to that the file should be duplicated and sent to DPP for legal advice, where upon the advice they will be properly arraigned in the High Court that has jurisdiction to try the offences they committed.
The Zonal Police Public Relations Officer, Zone 2, revealed that the exhibits recovered from the suspects were 1 medical identity card, an axe, remains of the victim in a carton, 3 AK-47 rifles, house documents of victim and other key evidences.
We are through with aspects, and that is why we have brought them here. Investigation reveals that the suspects were indicted.
Chief Magistrate Komolafe remanded the suspects in the Correctional Center, Ikoyi, and adjourned further hearing till 10th of August this year. In Lagos, Abolore Ogbara, NTA News.
And on the sad note, the political space in Lagos State has been thrown into mourning once again following the death of Tunde Buraimo, member representing Koshofe constituency at the Lagos State House of Assembly. His death was announced by Sani Okunlawo, representing Koshofe constituency 1 on his social media page. Family sources say the lawmaker passed away in the early hours of Friday on July 10th at the age of 59. Until his death, he was the chairman, Lagos State House of Assembly Committee on Information, Strategy and Security. May his soul rest in peace. We'll take a
Welcome back to our Abuja studios. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has announced 499 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 30,748 infections in the country. A breakdown of the new cases from 24 states indicates that Lagos has recorded the highest number for the day with 157 cases, while Edo State has 59. Ondo has 56, Oyo 31, Akwa Ibom 22, Borno 21, Plateau 19, Kaduna and Katsina have 18 cases each. Others are Bayelsa and the FCT with 17 each. Delta has 14, Kano 11, Rivers 10, Enugu 8, Ogun 6, Kwara 4, Imo 3, Nasarawa and Osun 2 each. The day's tally is completed by Abia, Ekiti, Niger and Yobe with 1 case each. Confirmed cases by state show that Lagos has the highest with 11,827, followed by the FCT with 2,365 and Oyo State with 1,604 cases. With the latest development, the total number of active cases stands at 17,513. 12,546 cases have been successfully treated and discharged, while 689 patients have died, unfortunately. Meanwhile, more than 400 health workers have contracted COVID-19 in the line of duty across the country. This development, health unions say, is dampening the morale of their members despite various government packages to encourage them as the battle against COVID-19 intensifies. Kelvin Ebonai reports.
As frontline workers in the fight against COVID-19, it is not unexpected that many health personnel may contract the virus due to exposure while handling patients. Apart from monetary compensation and other policies aimed at encouraging them to remain focused on winning the battle against the pandemic, critical in the process of achieving this is the availability of personal protective equipment, PPEs. To bridge the gap between what the government is providing and what is required, the Medical and Health Workers Union is standing up to be counted in supporting its members with the distribution of thousands of PPEs to the 38 state councils.
There is a chart of distribution to these councils reflecting the level of, or the level of cases, the amount of cases in each state.
For any organization or individual to have intervened in the way the Medical and Health Workers Union is doing today, that organization has to be applauded.
The intervention is to be sustained on a regular basis as the pandemic lasts. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
Now, still on the impact of COVID-19 on all sectors, education managers have identified a lack of coordination between government and stakeholders as a major gap in the education sector. In this regard, experts on Good Morning Nigeria therefore called for a structured mechanism to address this and other issues in all tiers of education. Alika Opanachi Arua reports.
Rating the performance of the educational sector in 5 years under the Buhari administration on Good Morning Nigeria, the Minister of State for Education observed that there is a paradigm policy shift in education.
In the basic education sector, in order to bring children to school, we wanted to make sure that all the facilities were available. That's why I said the Sangaya schools, the encouragement of people to attend. That's the only way you must shift and refocus from trying to catch people by hand and incentivizing them. That's a policy shift. Instead of pursuing you and your parents, let me now incentivize you to release the children to school.
The high points of the conversation was on funding, tuition, and responsibility of all key players in the educational sector, including parents and students. On this, Professor Abdurrashid Na'Allah and Professor Isa Hussein Mati shares different perspectives.
What's left is with the university management to really increase the internally generated revenue and then use that judiciously. And there should be accountability and transparency in all the institutions.
We must go back to the table. We must, for once, forget about ourselves. We must think about Nigeria. We must think about the place we want Nigeria to be in the community of nations. We must think about the future of our nation, what we want these young people to be able to do when they are in charge.
Regardless, the guests agree that education managers, and indeed all Nigerians, need to be more patriotic and work together to engender the desired educational outcome. In Abuja, Alika Okpanachi, Arua, NTA News.
And we'll go back to the earlier report on the signing of the appropriation bill by President Muhammadu Buhari. The report.
Estimates of Nigeria's 2020 budget of sustainable growth and national development was in response to the sharp decline in the prices of crude oil in the world market, as well as the widespread disruptions in global economic activities due to the coronavirus pandemic.
The 2020 budget, which I have just signed into law today, underscores our administration's firm commitment to effectively contain the spread of COVID-19 and protect the lives and livelihood of our people. With these budget amendments, as well as our recently launched 2.3 trillion naira stimulus program, we are well positioned to safeguard the economy.
The revised 2020 budget of 10.81 trillion naira has an increase of 216 billion naira over what was initially proposed in the 2020 Appropriation Act. It is made up of 2.48 trillion naira for capital expenditure, 4.94 trillion naira recurrent, 2.6 trillion naira for debt service, and 2.9 trillion naira sinking fund.
Considering recent budget implementation challenges, I have directed that efforts be made to assure effective implementation of the Appropriation Repeal and Amendment Act 2020 in order to realize its laudable objectives. All ministers are to ensure that their ministries, departments, and agencies intensify capital project delivery efforts and fully cooperate with the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning to achieve the laudable objectives of the budget.
As at May 31st this year, only over 253 billion naira had been released for the implementation of capital projects. President Muhammadu Buhari is, however, assuring the nation that before the end of this month, all the ministries, departments and agencies will receive not less than 50% of their amended capital budgets.
I thank all Nigerians for their understanding and unflinching support, especially during these difficult times.
And the implementation of this will start immediately, probably from today. The efforts that we have made in this particular budget is to ensure that there are a lot of supports for individuals as well as businesses, especially the SMEs. And this will ensure that businesses are able to stay afloat and individuals are able to live a life that is meaningful. So I believe that this is a budget that we have gotten right. The implementation, I'm very optimistic, will be significant. We may not achieve 100%. If we can, why not? But I believe that we can achieve nothing less than 80% by the end of the year.
The National Assembly are rising to the expectations of Nigerians, partnering with the executive to deliver on services to the Nigerian people. And for me, that is responsibility, that is partnering in nation building, and indeed that is what they had been elected to do. And also we appreciate the relationship because they had also demonstrated in many ways than one that they are committed to serving the Nigerian people.
The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, is expected to provide details of the amended 2020 budget in the coming days. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And back to education now, especially concerning final year students of secondary schools. The decision of non-participation of Nigerian students in the 2020 West African Examinations Council exams has been received with mixed feelings in Oyo State. The Commissioner for Education, Olasukomi Oyeleye, says stakeholders in the education sector will chart a way forward on the decision. Shola Wahid tells us more.
Schools in Oyo State resumed for academic activities on Monday, 6th of July for students in terminal classes of SS3, SS3 and Primary 6 to enable them prepare for external examinations. The decision was further justified when the 4th of August was announced as commencement date for the 2020 WAEC examination. The Minister of Education's declaration of cancellation of WAEC after Wednesday's virtual Federal Executive Council meeting is coming as a shock to students, parents and school administrators.
I think it's going to be hard for us because we've stayed 3 months already at home.
I'm actually feeling very sad because we've been reading for the past 4 months.
Government has done so much. NCDC is there to ensure that everything is put in place. Then there's no problem. The children can do the exam and go away.
Such that if the exams were to cover 2-3 weeks, we could spend 5 weeks.
I don't know what will happen to the SS3 that's supposed to write their own exam by next year.
Oyo State Commissioner for Education, Olasukomi Oyeleye, says the state is yet to come to terms with this decision.
We are waiting for WAEC reaction. And also the state government here in Oyo State will assess the situation.
In the meantime, SS3 and JSS3 students in the state are still in the classrooms amid COVID-19 protocols. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
And now for more reports from Ibadan, let's join Adebola.
Thank you, Naja'atu. Welcome to Ibadan. In a bid to recognize the important nature of child rights, Oyo State government has inaugurated the State Family Court. Kayode Oladoshu reports that the State Governor Seyi Makinde affirmed that the court will put an end to matrimonial crisis in the society.
The crucial nature of family in mentoring, protecting and assisting a child to fulfill his or her goal in the society cannot be overemphasized. However, if the right of a child is being violated without any reprieve, the basic nature of a family could be defeated. In view of this, Oyo State government has put in place measures to solve any family feud with the inauguration of the State Family Court aimed at putting an end to increasing rate of domestic violence in line with the child rights law passed by the State House of Assembly in 2006.
It is the law that provides for and protects the rights of the child in Oyo State and to complement existing laws like the Children and Young Persons Law and the Matrimonial Court on custody of the child.
With more emphasis on the welfare of a child, it is imperative for the free arms of the government to synergize efforts in actualizing a society free of child molestation or family tussle.
You may recall that one of the points raised in our roadmap to accelerated development in Oyo State 2019 to 2023 is to play our part in strengthening the laws around the Child Rights Act 2003.
The inauguration of the court is expected to promote speedy trials in matters relating to children welfare and protection in Ibadan. Kayode Oladoshu, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. It's back to you, Naja'atu, in Abuja. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Adebola. The All Progressives Congress, Lagos State, says its attention has been drawn to a report in a national newspaper that a purported APC member in Lagos State has instituted a case at a federal high court against the party's National Caretaker Committee. A statement by the chairman, Lagos APC Tunde Balogun, expresses the party's resolve to investigate the matter, stating that no party member should file a court action regarding the recent National Executive Committee meeting of the party in Abuja, particularly if that person has not exhausted all internal conflict resolution mechanisms to resolve any dispute arising from the NEC decisions. Such a person, the party says, will be dealt with in consonance with its constitution. The statement also says the All Progressives Congress, Lagos, is making efforts to restore order and decorum to the party, as no party can flourish when members keep instituting court cases. Now, the national chairman of the Action Democratic Party, Yabagi Yusuf Sani, says the party has no pact with the People's Democratic Party in the forthcoming governorship election in Edo State. This was at a media briefing in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf was there for NTA News.
Ahead of the September 19 governorship election in Edo State, the Action Democratic Party disclosed that it will fully participate in the off-season governorship election in Edo State. National chairman of the party says the clarification on whether or not the ADP has collapsed into the PDP in Edo State became necessary in view of speculation from some quarters that the party is working for the PDP.
I want Nigerians to understand that ADP being the credible alternative, the candidate we are fielding has all the credentials that you require and is competent, is qualified.
For the coalition of united political parties, its contact and mobilization subcommittee explained that the coalition will carry out grassroots campaigns in accordance with COVID-19 guidelines to ensure the victory of its candidates in the upcoming governorship election.
GOP needs credible, transparent, generally acceptable and peaceful election in Edo and Ondo states.
The coalition of united political parties believed that strengthening the country's democratic tenets remained its priority. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
And the judiciary in Nigeria has been urged to be sensitive to the damage being caused to the society by corruption, while also being guided by the provisions of the law. This call came from participants at a virtual conference held to mark the 4th African Day of Anti-Corruption. Femi Okewo reports.
The theme for this year's African Day of Anti-Corruption is fighting corruption through effective and efficient judicial system. And why not? More and more countries in the African continent are realizing that the fight against corruption only by the executive arm of government cannot succeed without a legal foundation and the authority of the law. And so, participants, one after the other, gave their inputs on how an effective and efficient judicial system can clean up the society of the menace of corruption. It was the chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, Professor Ite Sage, that fired the first salvo when he warned that with its over-reliance on technicalities, the Nigerian judiciary was portraying itself as being hostile to the fight against corruption. But other contributions pointed to the weak investigation and prosecution of corruption cases that make it inevitable for corruption cases to fail on trial.
Systemic corruption has weakened all of us, not just anti-corruption agencies. It's also weakened the judiciary as well. So if we work together, we can remove that disability in order to strengthen ourselves.
Of course, obstacles that have been mentioned, especially from the bench, is the fact that they are confronted with improper investigation, rush to prosecution, and then lack of skill on the part of the prosecutors and investigators.
So many justices of the Court of Appeal participated in the virtual conference, but it was the president of the court herself, Justice Monica Menson, that struck the chord when she made the comparison between crimes where investigation can go on for as long as 10 years, but trial concluded in 3 months, compared with her own crime, where investigation is taken only for about a few days, with trial running into years. That, she says, cannot augur well for the fight against corruption. In Abuja, Femi Okewu, NTA News.
To put an end to gender-based violence, especially rape in the country, Nigerian youths are advocating the domestication of the Child Rights Act by all the states and strengthening of the VAP Act of 2015. This is the position of members of the Nigeria Female Youth Organization. Elizabeth Omori reports.
Gender-based violence, a global phenomenon. Now it's fast becoming a pandemic which requires the attention of all. To this end, Nigerian youths are lending their voices to the campaign against rape and other gender-based violence has been championed by the governors of Kaduna and Ekiti states. With the passing of the Sexual Harassment Bill by the 9th National Assembly, this group believes its contributions will assist in upholding ethics in tertiary institutions.
We also call on the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice to facilitate speedy trial of rape offenders and make sure that there are no sacred cows as far as sex harassment cases are concerned.
Strengthening of the VAP Act 2015, they unanimously agreed, will protect women and girls from all forms of abuse meted on them.
If you educate your kids, educate them on the danger of it and be close to them. Because if they are molested, if you're not close to them, they won't tell you. Yes. They will keep it.
The counseling unit should be encouraged. They should be open-minded, ready to protect these children, bring them together, listen to them, listen to their cries, and know how they can pursue their interests.
Education and empowerment, they strongly advocate, will help promote the rights of women and girls. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
And now Caleb is waiting in Jos as we now join him for more on Nationwide. Hello, Caleb.
Hello, Najatu. Welcome to Jos. Possible cure for coronavirus in sight as efforts of the Plateau State COVID-19 team in the production of a homegrown antidote is reported to be on the verge of success. Ashezi Gopep engaged the research team leader, a professor of pharmacology and toxicology, on the issue.
The team was set up with a mandate to search for alternative drugs for the treatment and cure of COVID-19 and design treatment protocols for the disease from herbal and medicinal products Plateau State is endowed with. 3 candidate drugs from plant materials were formulated, which result, the lead researcher disclosed, shows antiviral activities with possible cure for COVID-19.
We formulated them into 3 combinations, COV-1, COV-2, COV-3. They are coded anyway. The ingredients for the 10, they are all natural products from herbs, indigenous to the northern region. Indeed, we have about 9 of them on the plateau.
The drug treatment trial formulated for severe, moderate and mild, the professor said, will undergo further analysis to conclude the efficacy in humans.
We are advancing now to the drug treatment trials. We have applied to some hospitals, and then luckily for us, we have approval. And so far, our studies reveal that the drugs have very excellent antiviral properties, and we believe, and verily too, that they are going to be very useful in the treatment of coronavirus.
It is expected that this practical alternative preferred will reduce overdependence on foreign solutions and help prepare the state in avoiding panic and desperation, as well as to bring to an end the coronavirus pandemic. In Jos, Ashezi Gupep, NTA News.
Nigeria's journey to industrialization may be just a few miles away, even as 2 key players in metallurgical research and development brainstorm on ways of taking research and industrialization to the next level. This is the outcome of a strategic engagement between the National Metallurgical Development Center, NMDC Jos, and Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DICON. The report. The position of the Buhari-led administration towards self-reliance for Nigeria is no longer news, even as every effort is being made to change the narrative holistically. with the core mandate of conducting tests and analysis of raw materials for steel plants in Nigeria, the National Meteorological Development Center says it is doing more. Director General of the center, Professor Linus Asugwa, says the center has contributed immensely to the economy of the nation through the expertise it provides to institutions, industries, and organizations with similar objectives.
Well, for us to go far in this country, we need to put a lot of funds into research and development. There's hope for this country. Instead of looking for outsiders, we are here to develop our own economy.
Director General, Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, Major General Victor Izogu, unveiled what DICON can do and that it has contributed in no small way in the fight against insurgency through local content.
DICON want to key into what they have, and already we are very excited about the outcome of this visit, because the issue of raw materials for our defense production is going to be highly addressed with the collaboration we're going to have with NMDC. The duo are expected to meet again soonest to concretize on this idea, midwifed in Jos.
Nigeria 2 will continue shortly after this break.
It's nice to know you're still watching Nationwide on NTA. Now to road matters. Motorists have been warned against overspeeding during this rainy period in order to prevent avoidable crashes on the roads. The Federal Road Safety Corps reiterated this as part of precautionary measures as the rain set in. Oyeyemi Ajayi reports.
In some locations, the floods that come with the season leaves many devastated due to the havoc it wreaks. For the roads, characteristic of wet and slippery surfaces, blurry visuals for drivers, foggy weather, all resulting in crashes and other forms of accidents. The Federal Safety Corps, as part of cautions highlighted for motorists during this period, is calling out the need for road users to avoid overspeeding and dangerous overtaking and ensure proper car lights illumination and their wipers working optimally.
We must observe what is known as braking distance and stop tailgating. Tailgating means getting too close to the frontal vehicle, the vehicle in front of you. Braking distance means you must make sure that the vehicle in front of you is a little bit far. In the situation where you have to apply your brakes suddenly, you will not hit such a vehicle. And this particular time is the time we must use tires with grip and traction. Not tires are already gone.
On another note, the free safety check and ticketing commenced by the FRSC is not to punish offenders, but to enlighten them on the vital mechanical parts in the car that needs attention to prevent accidents and ensure smooth navigation of the roads. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Similarly, residents, motorists and passengers traveling along the Lokoja-Ajaokuta road connecting the southeast states and some states in the north have expressed displeasure over the deplorable condition of the road following the gridlock after a downpour. Mobolaji Mobirin reports that several man-hours are lost daily due to the impassable road.
Heavy trucks and other articulated vehicles in the numbers stranded, smaller cars breaking down. Frustrated commuters and angry road users are regular feature on this axis.
I'm coming from Abuja to East. For now, I'm 4 hours in the road.
I've been here since morning and it's chaotic. Just that it's unfortunate that it's only one road, linking Kogi East to the center.
You go Ajaokuta village, so you don't take for here. No good. This day they worry me. Anytime people they plenty for here. Route no good.
Continued for some days as a result of the deplorable condition of the road. A major problem of the Lokoja-Ajaokuta road, especially during the rainy season.
This road has been serving well, but since all these heavy trucks pass here, this hole was made. And it has been growing and nobody cared to fill it up. It was as it rained the other day heavily. The pit became too deep.
While motorists and commuters are expectant that work on the road is intensified, others called for more alternative routes to decongest traffic along the Ganaja-Ajaokuta axis.
The road is not good. The road is scattered. They block my business.
The way where this motor parked, it's not supposed to be like that. People where they for cross, they come buy market down. No way, they no fit cross come.
What the government to do for us is that let government to have a mercy about this road.
The government should do all possible means to make this road passable.
Effort to speak with the Kogi State Commissioner for Works to fix the bad road proved abortive.
This is the present condition of Ganaja-Ajakuta Road. Residents and motorists have called on the government to attend to the situation. In Lokoja, Mobolaji, Moribiri, NTA News.
Thank you, Mobolaji. Super Eagles